Howdy, and welcome to the show. Cooper's Code examines legal issues and the practice in various ways. And if you note that the intro here is a little bit different, that's because this show is a little bit different. And what we've decided to do is take a little bit of an opportunity at the halfway point for my career to sit down and talk about the areas that I've learned along the way. And when I say halfway point, what do I mean? I'm 52 years in. When you look at the math, I've got 25 years that I've already gotten through in terms of my career. And hopefully, you can't see the wood that I'm knocking on, I've got another 25 more to go. During that time, I've had the privilege of having some great mentors, some great partners, some wonderful colleagues in terms of who I've worked with. I've had both good fortune and bad. I've battled addiction. Our family's been through our daughter's cancer battle. We've done extensive self-work in terms of who we are and how we present, both to be better trial lawyers, better advocates for our clients, and just better humans. And we have daily opportunities to learn, iterate, and refine. So within that, there are certain areas that I thought it would be useful that I've felt have been seminal in terms of our work and the learnings that I've learned from other people. In that vein, a core area is knowing yourself. In order to know and help others, it is foundational to know yourself. And that involves a variety of things. Most people spend their whole lives getting to know themselves. One way that you can help dial that in is take action. And taking action, you can determine your own personal values. This was an exercise that I did not do until about 6 or 7 years ago. And your personal values, there are a variety of tools out there that you can use to look this up. If you Google it, they'll help you winnow down. They start out with a whole bunch of different things and long lists, and you circle them and you refine. I found after doing this that my personal values were wisdom, challenge, and growth. And as I worked through it, I also realized that a fourth one that I didn't identify right off the bat is joy. It's one of the things that I seek in my life. Other methods for getting to know yourself better they're nothing new. They're what some people might refer to as the oatmeal of life, or broccoli, if you like broccoli. That's journaling, writing down your thoughts. Doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be lengthy, doesn't even need to be in a journal. Just writing things down with a pen to get the thoughts out of your head and processed through your hands can help you learn more about yourself. Having time to reflect, whether that's meditation, quiet walking, however you do it, and reading. And reading not just within the area of the law, but reading stories, reading nonfiction, reading biographies, reading histories, doing things where you hear the stories of others and how they do. An insight from this is that the self is constantly evolving. And one of the important pieces of this is forgiving yourself. That when you make mistakes, you learn, you apologize for those mistakes, you make amends, and then you let them go. One of the challenges for me is carrying around that bag of bricks of past harms that I've caused. And when you carry those, they interfere with your day-to-day ability to engage with other people. So while not letting go of the lessons learned from making mistakes, do let go of the guilt, the shame, the other pieces involved. Establishing routines for energy and self-awareness are also critical. Different people have different ways that works for them. For me, I find every morning that I do something active before I do other things, whether that be ride a bike, yoga, weights, short walk, anything just to get the blood flowing is a better day for me. Those are days where I'm happier. One way for establishing these routines and becoming self-aware is doing a little time journaling. Take a time log, keep track not only of what you're doing, but how it makes you feel. Scale it from 1 to 5, for example, and you'll start noticing patterns. You can even drop something like this into AI and have it do the analysis for you now to help you identify what are things, what are routines that help me be happy, help me be successful. The tension here is not to let routine become overwhelming. It's very easy to become so regimented that one becomes sclerotic in one's behavior. And that's something that can interfere with the whimsy and the joy of the everyday experience. There are times where I don't wake up and do exercise right off the bat. And that's because I have an opportunity to do something different, or I'm on vacation. And that's something I just choose to let go for that time. The second major area in terms of life lessons is to do less and to do less well. I am doing intentional pauses in this punctuation. And if I were to spell it out, I would be spelling it out as do less, comma, well. A significant problem for our work is that litigation is all consuming. And that's particularly true, I find, with the plaintiffs' lawyers that I hang out with. There's this, yes, I'll help. Yes, I'll jump in. Gosh, that's awful. It may not be a case where I generate a fee, but it's an area where I can fix it for you and it will take me very little time, but it would take you a long time to do it. There's your family, there's your firm, there's fitness, there are hobbies. All of these end up being 300 hours crammed into what is, if you do the math, a 268-hour week. There's really only one solution to doing this, and that is to subtract. You subtract it down to the essentials. Why do you do this? An overfull mind produces insufficient processing power. So if you're trying to strategize a case and you're trying to solve 4 other problems at the same time, what you'll find is that you'll do many things poorly, but not one thing well. A way to be able to do this is to create deep work windows. These are times where you turn off emails, text, phone. I typically will put my phone in another room when I'm doing a deep work period. There are tools where you can disconnect from the internet so that you don't get pinged by things. As a side note, I highly recommend Cal Newport and any of the work that he's done on digital detox, but turning off all of your alerts so that you can just focus on what you're doing is critical. The world will not end when you're disconnected. There are so many ways that people can get in touch with you in other ways. And so having that time, that commitment to really digging in and thinking is critical to doing the big problem sets that we in our business tend to do. The final piece of this is learning how to say no politely. And that is a challenge. So a way to do this is to get in the habit of never saying yes immediately. When someone approaches you with a new thing, an opportunity, say, for example, you're asked to be on the board of an organization. That's an honor. And the tendency might be to say yes without realizing how much that's going to impact the other things that are already on your plate. So if you default to saying, I'll think about that, it's a lot easier than to say, I've thought about it. It is important to me to only do things where I'm 100% able to commit. And I have too many things going on in my life right now with my work and my family. I'm going to have to say no from now. It's something that I might be interested in doing in another 5 years. That's an easy way to say no thanks in the moment. The third area of wisdom learning along the way is that there's a balance and a flow to life. Some people refer to this as harmony. And why do I bring this up? I bring this up because there have been periods where people have worked insane hours, and that's been the expectation. There have been periods where people have come in and said, tell me about your work-life balance. And the expectation there usually is that they don't want to work insane hours. As a litigator, as a trial lawyer, what I've come down to is that there is no such thing as work-life balance. There is only balance or harmony. There are times where one will be unbalanced on one side, and there will be times where one will be unbalanced on the other side. An example, as one's getting ready for trial, one might be putting in 80, 90, 100 plus hours a week into work for the trial prep and trial itself. At that point, your exercise, your family life, all your other things, they are way out of balance. There may be other times where a case settles just before trial is about to start and you have the next 3 or 4 weeks blocked out because you were supposed to be in trial. Suddenly there's an opportunity to rebalance. So there are times where you are all in on one thing and all in on another. Overall, there's a fluidity of back and forth. Being out of balance is okay. Balance returns with that pendulum swing. And there are times where one should take the opportunity to be quiet, to be calm, and to be, in essence, in a phase of retreat to restore one's energy. The fourth area of wisdom is to surf life's sets. And for those who've been in the ocean for any period of time, you'll notice that there'll be regular small waves, small waves, small waves. And then every so often, every 5 to 10 minutes, a set will come in, a series of larger waves. The universe creates patterns and creates energy. And one will notice in one's practice and in one's life that there are moments when everything hits. Momentum is just going. Everything pops off. These are the periods where it's time to go all in. It's a time to be out of balance and just grab that momentum and use it to propel yourself forward. You use that energy for effortless motion. There will also be times when that momentum dies and it feels like one is fighting the sea. What I've learned from this initially was I would just keep fighting the sea. And an analogy here, as we're continuing with the ocean analogies, is the riptide. If you try and swim directly against a riptide, you will eventually run out of energy and you'll be sucked out to the ocean and you will drown. If you swim parallel to the coast during a riptide, you'll get yourself out of that rip and you'll find yourself in a different position and you won't have to put more effort in. My sense when that momentum dies is to not waste the energy fighting it directly. See if there's another way, can you get out of that doldrum in another way? It is also time to surrender. Surrender, reflect, retool, rest, and know that in that pendulum swing of energy, that momentum will return. The fifth area that I've learned along the way is that it is challenging in our social circle not to make comparisons to others. So here in your social circle of lawyers, family, friends, do everything in your power to avoid making comparisons. It only brings misery. There will always be someone more successful. There will always be someone less successful. When you see a great verdict, don't think to yourself, there goes somebody with their firm and they're just going to the moon. Think about the fact that great verdict lifts all of our boats in terms of what's happening in our field and with insurance companies and defendants and defense counsel. Same is true in terms of looking down at others. There will always be people less successful. And if you feel the need to gloat, it will not carry you forward. The tension here in terms of avoiding comparisons is that one of the ways that we get great is by picking skilled adversaries. And what do I mean by that? Because it's, in a lot of our cases, we don't really pick who our opponents are. The insurance company assigns an attorney, or the defendant selects a lawyer, and we're up against whoever we're up against. When I say pick skilled adversaries, I am suggesting that even within our field, we are in competition with the people that we do business with and in the same area. So if you are running a firm, consider who else is in that area and look at who is running the best firm around. Think of that as a competitor, a skilled adversary, and don't do anything harmful in terms of the relationship. It is a collaborative bar for the most part. But one reaches greatness through challenge and through seeing what others are doing and trying to meet their level. Competition raises that bar. In that same area of social focus, work to develop deep friendships. Here I reference Arthur Brooks from Strength to Strength. And he talks about what he refers to as deal friends versus real friends. And once you hear the phrase, you almost immediately fill in the rest of the information. We have a lot of people in our work environment who we might have coffee with, have lunch with, have a drink with. But if we weren't lawyers, we may not be engaging with those people. Those are deal friends. They're still good friendships. They're not the same as that depth of connection that comes from a real friend, a true deep roots friend. Real friends transform life quality. Now, it's very hard with a busy practice and family to maintain those friendships. It requires regular effort. It's almost like keeping a friendship flywheel spinning in terms of reaching out and maintaining those friendships. The ways to do this is to identify the people who you start feeling a deep connection with and just keep touching that wheel. And by touching that wheel, I mean, this is somebody who, while I was talking about cases, I loved what they had to say about Carl Jung. I loved their thoughts on AI. I love that they came from this background. I want to spend more time with this person. I want to get to know them. You can start reaching out more frequently and just maintaining that friendship. And these are the types of people who can help see you through when you have tough times and help give feedback to you in terms of who you are and how you engage with the world. Final piece on the social area is have an exit strategy. What do I mean by that? For some folks in our field, they loved the job so much that shortly after they stop, they die. It was what watered, nurtured, and fed them. We've probably all seen lawyers who are like that. For a lot of others, it's a combination of a passion and a job. And those people may not be the ones who benefit from going into the office until their dying day. Try to figure out where you are along the spectrum and set some landmarks for yourself to know when you're done. Do you need to have a certain amount of money? Do you need to have a certain thing? Do you need to have done certain things? One of the challenges in our field and with the reality that even though we shouldn't compare ourselves to each other, we have a tendency to do so, is this what one might call mission creep. That, I'll retire when I've got $3 million, $5 million, $10 million, $100 million. As one does it, there's a tendency to keep raising that. If you love what you're doing, awesome. If there are other things that you might want to be doing with your life, it's time to start thinking about, how do I cut back? How do I alter? How do I change my practice? And have that exit strategy so that one spends time with loved ones. Whatever one chooses to do, living fully and with intention and loving is the way to win. Dying with the most toys isn't. That's it. That's what I've picked up from the quality people that I've had the opportunity to be around over the last 25 years of practice. I want everyone to grab your calendar right now. If you need to press pause to look around for it, mark 2050, that's 25 years from now, so that you can be ready for the 25-year update where hopefully I'll still be kicking and sharing what I've learned from all the wonderful people that I'll have the opportunity to work with over the next 25 years. For those of you who enjoy the podcast, we always appreciate folks who give us 5-star reviews. If you liked this, I would ask that you share it with a friend. For all of you doing justice out there, happy hunting.